Two of the top Red Sox prospects are now just one step closer to Major League Baseball. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Red Sea Radio. My name is Corbin, and thank you very much for clicking on this video. Look, let's be honest, right? So far this season, our sole focus when it comes to minor league players has, for the most part, been Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer, and there's pretty good reason for that. Not only are they two of the biggest prospects to come out of the Red Sox system in a very long time, they're also just one step away from Major League Baseball. Their next call-up is going to be to the big leagues. But that doesn't mean there isn't talent throughout the rest of the minor league system, and it's rightfully time we give them a spotlight on this channel, with two prospects recently being promoted up one step closer to Major League Baseball. And of course, I'm talking about Franklin Arias and Brandon Clarke. Because 2 days ago, our friend and minor league beat reporter Andrew Parker reported that both of these dudes have been promoted up to high A baseball, with Arias himself confirming that on his Instagram story. Now, I didn't get a screen grab of his Instagram story before it expired, so you're just going to have to take my word on that, but I swear it was confirmed by Franklin Arias. Now, between these two names, I have a feeling that Franklin Arias, a lot of you guys recognize, right? Not only is he one of the top prospects in the Red Sox system, he is a top prospect in Major League Baseball, coming in at number 72 on MLB's top 100 prospect list. He's even higher on Baseball America's prospect list. This is a guy a lot of people are paying attention to, but maybe not so much for Brandon Clarke, who I absolutely do believe deserves a spotlight as well, and that's exactly where we're going to start, and then we'll get into Franklin Arias. So for those of you who may not know, Brandon Clarke is a starting pitcher, a left-handed starting pitcher that the Boston Red Sox picked up in the 5th round of last year's draft. He came into this season in his first real taste of professional baseball. He just flat out dominated low A hitters. I mean, he just made him look silly. This dude had 3 starts. He had a 0.93 ERA. That is just one singular run allowed in that time. He also struck out 17 batters in just 9 2/3 innings. That is almost, that's almost 2 strikeouts per inning from this dude, and generated a ground ball rate of 68.8%. Basically, what was happening when Clarke was on the mound here is either he was blowing hitters away, or he was making them hit the ball on the ground. Kind of the two best things a pitcher can do on the mound, right? If you're asking how do pitchers end up being successful in Major League Baseball, well, they get a lot of swing and miss, and when they are making contact, it's weak contact on the ground. Brandon Clarke excelling at both of those very early on here in his professional development. On top of that, he only walked 2 batters. The Red Sox were quickly like, hey man, look, you're clearly more advanced in low A baseball. We're going to get you up to high A as soon as humanly possible, and that is exactly what they did. So why is this a name to pay attention to? Well, it's because Brandon Clarke's raw talent is kind of off the page. Not only is he an intimidating force on the mound at 6'4" from the left-hand side, but he is also an absolute flamethrower. This dude is regularly hitting hundos on the mound, averaging between 95 and 99 miles an hour on his fastball. It's one of the most intriguing fastballs in the Red Sox farm system right now, right? It gets a ton of swing and miss, but you add in some of these off-speed pitches, and all of a sudden you're talking about a guy who could end up being a mid to front end starter for the Boston Red Sox. Now, right now, I say raw talent because there's still a lot of refinement Brandon Clarke has to make. His slider at the moment is his best off-speed pitch, and that actually looks really good. Baseball America did an entire spotlight on Brandon Clarke, calling him the biggest potential breakout prospect in the Red Sox system. In this sort of op-ed about him, one of the things they mentioned was the way that slider looked in his first couple of starts. He was getting a ton of swing and miss. It goes from about 8 o'clock to 2 o'clock on the mound, so it's a bit of a left to right movement for Brandon Clarke in that slider. And combined with that fastball, hitters had a really, really tough time picking up on it. The question really becomes with Brandon Clarke, can he develop that third pitch? And that's really going to kind of determine his pathway to Major League Baseball. Right now, he does have a sweeper and a changeup, both of those are really sort of works in progress. The changeup doesn't really drop all that much. It's mostly just a change in velocity. And for the moment, he's kind of telegraphing it in his delivery a little bit. If he can improve on that, we're talking about a guy with three potential plus offerings on the mound, and all of a sudden he becomes a legitimate rotational threat. If he never really develops that third pitch and just sort of sticks with mostly fastball slider, he's still a pretty intriguing prospect. It's just more so out of the bullpen, right? That high leverage potential closer type role from Brandon Clarke. Either way, what you're talking about here is a legitimate raw talent that the Red Sox currently have. This is a guy who kind of has the ceiling of a legitimate all-star starting pitcher, and that is a fantastic place for the Red Sox to be in. Right now, not really a ton in terms of rankings, right? He's 19th in the Red Sox system according to SoxProspects.com. He's unranked when it comes to top 100 prospects in Major League Baseball, both on MLB.com and Baseball America. But if he continues like this, that's going to change very, very quickly. Again, I just talked about Baseball America doing their op-ed piece. They said flat out in this piece that you could find on YouTube, I'll link the description down below, that if he continues like this, they firmly believe that Brandon Clarke will be a top 100 prospect by the end of the year. And that's actually incredibly exciting, right? It's been a pretty long period of time here since the Red Sox have had a top 100 pitching prospect. I believe it was Brian Bale who was the last legitimate starting pitcher top 100 talent the Red Sox had. Brandon Clarke could be that next guy. That's simply how good he can be, not to mention the fact that he's 6'4" and throws from the left-hand side. That's a pretty rare combination, especially when you consider he's blowing chundos up there, right? A lot to be excited about when it comes to Brandon Clarke. One of the names in the draft that sort of went under the radar a little bit, I think a lot of people focused on rightfully guys like Peyton Tolley, Conrad Kaysen, Braden Montgomery, who ended up being Crochet, right? All of those guys ended up being a bit more exciting. Even Brandon Neely, a name that came out of the draft, and yet Brandon Clarke could end up being the most exciting name out of all of them. So incredibly cool to see the Red Sox being aggressive with Brandon Clarke here and getting him up as soon as humanly possible. Now, in terms of a timeline, he's obviously a pretty decent ways away from Major League Baseball, right? You've got plenty of time before Brandon Clarke makes his way up here, but at the same time, too, I don't know that it's going to be an incredibly long period of time. He is 22. He came out of college, right? So he's got that experience. He's already in high A baseball, a month into the season. I wouldn't be surprised here if by the end of the year, not only is he a top 100 prospect and one of the top pitching prospects in the Red Sox system, but he's also in Double-A with a pretty decent amount of experience, kind of knocking on the door of starting 2026 in Triple-A and potentially making his debut by the end of 26, maybe the beginning of 2027. So not only is this an exciting name to watch, it's also a name to watch that could be making an impact on the Red Sox as soon as a couple years down the line here. Again, just a reminder, this is a top 100 prospect for the Red Sox. People tend to forget that Franklin Arias is a top 100 prospect too. He's currently ranked as the number 5 prospect in the Red Sox system on SoxProspects.com, directly behind Luis Perales. And at just 19 years old, all this dude knows is hitting. It's absolutely ridiculous. He hit last year in minor league baseball through 3 separate levels. He had a 309 average, a 409 on base percentage, and a 487 slug for a 143 WRC plus. In this season, he just kept on rolling. In 19 games with the low A team, Arias hit 346 with a 407 on base percentage and a bit of a lower slug at 397 for a 127 WRC plus. So the power did disappear a little bit to start the season. No home runs, 4 doubles in those 19 games. But honestly, I think the Sox realized that obviously that power potential didn't just totally vanish, right? To be honest with you, he's never really been an incredibly crazy power hitting potential type player. His exit velocities are really impressive, especially for a guy who's 18, 19 years old. He's regularly exit velocities in the 100s, 105, 106 in that range, but a lot of it is line drive. He's very gap to gap. He's not so much, I'm going to pull the ball into the air and get it out as soon as humanly possible. He's more so, how can I split a gap? The power potential is there. It just hasn't really appeared so much in this season. And that's really the big question with Arias, because you look around at almost every other tool he has, and it's really incredible. Again, you're talking about a 19-year-old player here on the field at shortstop, at second base. Some scouts even wonder if he'd do well at third base as well, so he could probably be an above average fielder at almost every single infield position. You talk about the contact metrics, they're absolutely fantastic, right? Not only is this dude almost hitting 350, but he's striking out only 14% of the time this year, walking 7%. Last year, he was walking 13% compared to a 17% strikeout rate, so he's walking even more last season. See the average jump up about 40 points. Usually that means the guy's just seeing the ball really well. I would rather a prospect be hitting the baseball than taking walks, but that's just my opinion. Either way, he's got a fantastic eye. He's got great contact skills. He's got ability to control the strike zone. Combine that with the fact that he's going to be an above average fielder with average speed, and the fact that those exit velocities are coming off the bat right now. If/when the Red Sox figure out a way to get him to loft the ball in the air more, and that power really starts to take effect, you're talking about a guy with 3 legitimate above average to elite tools in this system. And that's a big reason why Franklin Arias is a name that is currently atop the Red Sox prospect list. This guy has all the potential in the world to be an extremely impactful player at the big league level. So what does that look like? Well, it'd probably be almost a jack of all trades, right? Maybe not a master of none, but a jack of all trades. A guy who's, off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of a major league equivalent on the Boston Red Sox. I can't really think of one right now, but you kind of get what I'm saying, right? He can kind of do a little bit of everything. He can field, he can make some contact when he needs to, he can give you a bit of power. I don't think he'll ever be a 25-30 home run guy, but maybe a 15-20 home run guy at the major league level. That is still a very, very impactful name. I'm excited about this, man. I'm excited about Franklin Arias. I really, really like who he could potentially be, and I love the fact that he's just so young, right? So much time. We talk about, oh, he needs to improve his power. He's just 19, right? He's going to have plenty of time to not only develop that on the field, but off the field, he has all the time in the world to continue to get stronger. I love when you take a look at these prospects who just have these incredible raw talent that have this just innate ability to play baseball. And you talk about, okay, like here's the things that are wrong with them, but you also consider the fact that you've got plenty of time to work with them, right? It's about refining all these diamonds to make them in something incredible. And Franklin Arias is right there with these guys. I think there are 2 things that are asked all the time when it comes to the Red Sox farm system right now. Well, really 3, right? The first one is, when are these names going to start impacting the big league level? I'm specifically talking about Campbell, Roman, and Marcelo, right? The second and third questions are always, where are the Red Sox arms, and who's next? Who's next up for this top exciting Red Sox prospect? Well, both of those were kind of answered in these promotions, weren't they? You take a look at where the Red Sox arms are, and they're just sort of making their way up. The Red Sox have a ton of pitching talent in minor league baseball. Brandon Clarke is today's focus, but you also talk about guys like Juan Valera, Luis Perales, Jedison Paez, Peyton Tolle, Conley Early. They're all names in the lower levels of the Red Sox minor league system here that have just so much potential that could end up impacting this Red Sox team in the near future. And that's really, really exciting. Brandon Clarke is another name you can add to this list as sort of, okay, the Red Sox biggest fault over the last few years has been their inability to produce these superstar type pitchers. Well, now you've got a list of potentially 10, 15 of them. Now, obviously not all of them are going to work out, but to have 10, 15 guys in here, a couple of them in Perales, Valera, and Clarke, who could end up being top 100 prospects at some point in their minor league career here, that's a really exciting place for the Red Sox to be pitching-wise. And then obviously on the position player side of things, it's a pretty similar story, right? Marcelo, Roman, those are the guys up top, but when they get up here, Arus is already a top 100 prospect. He continues to look like this in minor league baseball. He's very quickly going to become a top 50 prospect in Major League Baseball, maybe even a top 30 at some point here, especially if he could start lofting the ball in the air more. But you're also talking about guys like Mikey Romero, who looks much, much different than what we've seen over the past couple of years from him. He legitimately looks like a real threat here in the Red Sox system. Yoel Cespedes, Conrad Kaysen. You've got guys with freak athleticism that haven't put it together yet, like Blaze and Nazan Zanatello. There's just so many people here that could end up being legitimate. Oh my God, I can't wait for these guys to come up. And it just goes to show you how good of a place this Red Sox farm system is right now. I love talking about this system. I love talking about guys that maybe don't get talked about enough in this Red Sox system, and I think these are 2 guys that are fit right in that boat, and I'm excited for them. It's good for the Red Sox. It's good for these prospects. It's good for us as well. So A lot of good things in today's video. Let me know in the comment section down below. What do you guys think of all of it? What do you think about Clarke? What do you think about Arius? What do you think about their promotions? As always, if you made it to the end of this video, do me a favor. Make sure you guys have hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. If you're new here, we talk Red Sox content almost every single day. Also, make sure you guys have hit the like button on this video as well. It just simply helps out a ton, and it's the best way to let me know you're enjoying the content. Don't forget, if you guys want to listen instead of watch these episodes, the best way to do that is to head over to your favorite podcasting app and look up Red Seat Radio. Thank you all very much for clicking on this one, and I will see you in the Red Seats.